Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moody.
I'm Brutality, and it's 12 o'clock, and we have no idea what new horrors will be unleashed within the next 3 minutes, Danielle, because in the last 7 minutes, you just added 2 more items, but mostly, I think, good items to our rundown. But the day is young, Danielle. The day is young.
The day is young. The day is young, and the week has been fucking long.
Oh, my God.
You know, but before we actually, I want to ask you this before we get into the throes of the show. What was your top moment of the week where you were just like, God damn? Was it the escalator? Was it the bag of cash? Was it the indictment? Like at what point during this hell on earth week did you say to yourself, just God damn?
It's daily, because I thought the bag of cash was just beautiful, but then people forgot about it. And then his UN speech was just so pathetic. People forgot about it. And then him indicting Comey yesterday, and people are like, eh. And then, of course, the leftist 29-year-old white guy who was on 4chan who left the anti-ICE bullet. The Charlie Kirk, the ongoing Charlie Kirk fetishization and memorialization. And then I realized, it's only Wednesday. And then Comey was yesterday, and then now today. The tariffs yesterday, the tariffs on all the furniture. I'm like, awesome, everything's going to cost more. But then he also bailed out Argentina. So bailing out Argentina, but more tariffs on furniture, which we'll talk about. Danielle, all of this could have been avoided. All of this could have been avoided.
You know, it could have been. It could have been. But, thanks, Merrick Garland. I mean, who else are we blaming here? Merrick Garland, Joe Biden. I'm going to be very clear. All right. So let's kick things off with none other than Donald Trump using his broke down social media platform to harass his Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, and to convince her, even though let's just say that not even Pam Bondi wanted to bring this indictment on James Comey. We know that the former U.S. attorney, who was summarily fired because he refused to bring the charges. So Donald Trump just fired him and brought in one of his, Mar-a-Lago makeover, defense attorneys, who's never prosecuted a case before. But it's just, I don't know, Waj. Like, this is Dan Bongino saying, oh, yeah.
Oh, he came out of his shell. Oh, hi, Dan Bongino. Hi. Yeah. Nice seeing you.
Accountability, promises matter. And then, here we have the indictment, which is just, bullshit. Oh, we lied. Oh, we did this. Oh, we did that. So before we play Comey's response, just, what is your response to all of this?
Well, first of all, it is terrifying because you have the president of the United States using the Department of Justice and the Attorney General, which is supposed to be independent, as his personal Luca Brasi hitman, which is what we warned. Donald Trump openly said it. Kash Patel, the head of his FBI, who is a shit poster, who has no law enforcement background, literally goes on Steve Bannon's show and says, yeah, we have an enemies list, shares the enemies list. Voila, Donald Trump wins. He appoints who, Danielle? Kash Patel. What does Kash Patel do along with Pam Bondi? Goes after Donald Trump's enemies. How do we know they were going to do that? Because they said so. And Donald Trump, like the world's most helpful supervillain, but posts a message he was supposed to send to Pam Bondi, right? Let's go back to that real quick. He was not supposed to post this. He actually removed this.
Go back to the first one. Yep.
I've reviewed over 30 statements and posts. It's the same old story. Last time I'll talk, nothing's being done. And he literally gives you the names, Daniel. Mm-hmm. Comey, Schiff, Letitia. Furthermore, I just want to remind everyone, 5 weeks ago, he literally posted, I heard Jimmy Kimmel's next. What happens? Jimmy Kimmel. Afterwards, Daniel, what does he do? Fallon, Seth Meyers. after the whole week that Republicans tried their best to spin for their decaying dementia Donald and saying, no, it's because Jimmy Kimmel lied. Donald Trump comes out and says, no, ABC paid me. I want them to pay me again. I'm so upset. Blah, blah, blah. He admits it. He's telling you literally what he's going to do. So he telegraphs it. And voila, a couple of days later, we actually brought this up on, I think, Wednesday's Democracy-ish. We're like, listen, folks, this is a big piece. Going back full circle, you asked me what was the biggest piece of news. I'm like, oh, maybe him accidentally sharing with the world his hit list with Pam Bondi. Lo and behold, Danielle, what a shock. Thursday night, the first person in that hit list, James Comey, gets indicted over a bullshit indictment. It's all bullshit, folks. Don't even waste your time. It's nonsense. It'll be thrown out. But it's about bullying, terrorizing, distracting. And it's about sending a message. We went after Comey. We went after Kimmel. Who are you, Danielle? You better shut your mouth, bend the knee, and give me $16 million like ABC and CBS. And then for a month or two, I'll go away. Then I'll come back for 20 million.
You know what's really interesting here? I mean, there's so much, but I played this clip from the lone Democrat. What's her name on Fox? The lone one. Tarloff, right? So Tarloff says, basically with Donald Trump's posting, right, the supervillain plot to get rid of Kimmel, she's like, you've basically made Kimmel now unfireable. Right? Because it is so clear and so evident. She's like, his viewership could go down to 3 people. Tarloff, thank you. Jessica. She's like, his viewership could go down to 3 people, but you have made him the poster child for the First Amendment. You have made him the poster child for free press. And while your sycophants were busy contorting themselves into pretzels in order to convey to the public, oh, no, this wasn't a political act, that we had nothing to do with this. And then Donald Trump is like, no, I'm going to take credit for this. Right? Like, because he can't help himself. And so when I look at what is happening with Comey, which it is incredibly dangerous, it is also an incredibly dangerous distraction. And what we keep saying here on Democracy-ish is that Donald Trump is weak.
Yep.
And that Donald Trump, but that does not mean that he's not dangerous. It means that he is going to actually become more and more volatile because he is weak, because he is bleeding support, because he can't get his own bootlickers the first time he asks to indict and bring charges, because they know, even though they've gotten their law degrees out of a Cracker Jack box, they know that this shit that they're bringing is not going to hold up in court. But Donald Trump is rolling the dice. It's why he stacked the federal bench. It's why him and Mitch McConnell stacked the federal benches. It's why they own the Supreme Court, because even if it's bullshit, because again, the rest of us exist in reality. Donald Trump has had people create the architect of Mar-a-Lago world, of MAGA world, right? And so everything that you are seeing bends to his knees. So even if we say, my God, if you look at this, it's flimsy as hell.
Yep.
And I'm not a lawyer, right? But if you look at what the indictment is, it is flimsy as fuck, folks. Like, just zoom in on it. And so the fact that he even had a grand jury indict, and folks are just like, well, I didn't think that the grand jury would indict. And I'm just like, you don't even know what mob tactics are being used.
Well,
like, we need to spend, right? Like the belief that everyone is working on the up and up when we've been told the contrary.
Well, I mean, as a recovering attorney, I could tell you there's a famous saying is that you can indict a ham sandwich, meaning it's very, very easy to get an indictment. And so whatever, you can indict a ham sandwich, you can indict James Comey, but like you said, super flimsy. And the irony of making false statements after the entirety of the right wing has spent the past 2 weeks trying to blame the left for the murder of Charlie Kirk, even though it was 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. Notice how that's completely gone from the news. Did you notice that? After they seeded the fake story spread the disinformation, silence all the white moderates into a hagiography of Charlie Kirk, and talked about the left, the left, the left. Notice how Tyler Robinson has been completely erased and pigeonholed from our memories, right, Danielle? Just gone. And so what they do, like you said, is they create an alternative reality with alternative facts where Donald Trump won the 2020 election that he lost, where he is king, and all of anyone who's against him is part of the deep state, even though they literally are the deep state now because they have control of the House and the Senate. And they rewrite history. And once they rewrite history, they move on. Like you said, they punt and they distract because the base is lost. The base thinks the left, them killed Charlie Kirk. And I'm like, me? Danielle? No. Tyler Robinson. They're like, what are you talking about? It was the left. You're like, okay, well, take care. So the thing is, the problem is, I'm glad you mentioned it, is that it is dangerous, Danielle. Just because it's stupid, just because it's pathetic, just because it's shameless, just because he's teetering and doddering and drooling and saying obscene things and the world is laughing at him and by extension us, doesn't mean it's not dangerous because he's the president of the United States, folks. Right. The attorney general is not beholden to the rule of law. The attorney general is his personal henchwoman. Kash Patel, nobody trusts Kash Patel on anything now, which is why even Candace Owens is going on like a rant for the past 2 weeks and promoting conspiracy theories, right? Once you lose faith in your institutions, once you lose faith in the government, this is what happens. And now, because like someone said in the comments, he is a cornered rat. He's a cornered rat with cankles. He's older. He looks sicker. The economy looks like it's going to be in shambles. He's negative double digits across the board. Overreach with Charlie Kirk, overreach with Jimmy Kimmel, overreach with the National Guard, overreach with ICE beating up people. And now this is such an overreach that yesterday, Danielle, his former attorney, Ty Cobb, said this was an overreach. And then even on Fox, you had people say, whoa. That's how egregiously terrible it is.
That's what I'm saying. You can get to a point where you overplay your hand, right? Because you believe that you are untouchable. All of this is like, to me, working like clockwork of every fascist, authoritarian, dictatorial takeover that we've ever seen. Right? It's like they believe that you start to get high on your own supply. You start to believe your own hype. You start to believe that you are untouchable. And what you are seeing, and I want folks to be aware, what you begin to see is the fracturing, is the fissures, are people who are just like, wait a minute, you had Kimmel be fired, and then you had Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz, Candace Owens saying, whoa. Like, we still have the Constitution in these United States, right? Like, you have right wingers coming out and saying, actually, this is a bridge too far because this is going to boomerang and come back to us at some point, right? And so we need to be prepared for this. Again, going after your political enemies. And you see, Donald Trump, when you listen to Bobblehead Barbie, stand up before the White House press corps talking about this is accountability. And a reporter said, what, isn't this retribution? And she's like, no, it's accountability. And it's just like, you won the fucking election. You are such a whiny little bitch.
Little bitch.
Like, it is just like you won the election. And the thing is that Donald Trump had multiple indictments that if Merrick Garland had actually done his job from the moment that Joe Biden was sworn in and didn't wait a year and a half to hire special counsel Jack Smith and gave himself a longer runway to ensure that Donald Trump could never run for office again because he would have been convicted. We would have had time for all of his bullshit appeals to run out. We would have had time for all of these things, and trial dates would have been set prior to him being able to announce that he was running, so that he created his own Teflon. So, you look at the justice system and the immense failures that came out of Biden's Department of Justice, and then
absolutely
the weaponization of Trump's Department of Justice. And what we can say as the public is that, like, everybody is above the law if you have enough money. Everybody is above the law if you have enough power. And it doesn't matter who is actually in charge, because Merrick Garland politicized the Department of Justice in a different way, but it was still politicized, right?
I think you made a really good point, and we'll talk about Comey and everything else, but let's just keep it real. Biden picked the worst person to be Attorney General, Merrick Garland. All of us said, you're the president. Just because you picked him doesn't mean he has to stay there. You could pick someone else. I'll give you an example. Donald Trump liberally fires people left and right. Who did Donald Trump fire because he didn't let go of the Russia thing? James Comey. Then he brings in Christopher Wray. Then he lets go of Christopher Wray. Donald Trump got the guy, now the gal, that he wants. All right. Now, you don't want to press your thumb on the scale that much, but at the same time, you're the president of the United States. You could say, I won, and you could say, I won on what? Accountability. People wanted accountability for the 4-year disaster of Donald Trump. He incited a violent insurrection. What did Democrats and so many white moderates do? Centrists. Listen, let's get along. The lost cause. Jefferson Davis, he was a nice guy. Let's erect a statue for Robert E. Lee. Let's be civil. Brings the worst guy, folks. We're going to tell you a story about Tom Homan. And for those who don't know about Tom Homan, when it came to Tom Homan's corruption charge that Danielle and I talked about, we'll go a little bit more into depth to it. Danielle, do you know when he was caught in that FBI sting operation?
No.
September.
No. September.
Who was president?
Joe Biden.
And they knew about it, and they didn't say anything.
And said nothing.
And then also, just to show you how Democrats are, folks, we bring the receipts. This is why we always said they bring a paperclip to a knife fight. Republicans bring a bazooka. Obama knew before the 2016 election that Russia was interfering, trying to help Donald Trump. Now, Mitch McConnell was also told this. Mitch McConnell said, you can't tell the people because it'll politicize the election. And then Obama's like, okay. Democrats are like, you're right. It'll be unfair. Yeah. And they didn't tell anyone. Now, James Comey, the karma, because F James Comey. Even though you say F James Comey, still this is wrong what happened to him. James Comey, much like a Garland, I care about the institutions. Meh. 11 days before the election, meh. Let me just talk about Hillary Clinton's emails. Meh. The institutions, fairness. Meh. And then that could have been the thing, Danielle, that tilted it. Because Trump won by Hitler's nose hair. He barely won. People forget.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Had about 60,000 votes across those 3 states gone to Hillary. Done. She's president.
Right.
And so the fact that Comey did that, thought he'd be safe as a white man. What happened?
I mean,
sorry, I have to bring some receipts.
That was like won by Hitler's nose hairs has got to. I mean, you gotta pull that out again. That was brilliant. But here's all of those points. Those are all facts, like facts on facts on facts, because you recognize, and this is why I always think that it's important, and people get upset with us, right? Waj, like people get upset with us when we bring receipts on Democrats and we say, we're not here. We didn't get here on our own.
Nope.
Right? Like we didn't get here just because of the Republican Party alone. We got here because of all of the things that had been going on from 2016 until now. Right? You're talking about 10 years of being complicit. You're talking about the ways in which Barack Obama could have elevated from the jump. But no, they're too concerned with preserving the institution than our actual fucking democracy.
There you go.
They're too concerned with preserving the institution and the perspective that all is well than actually alerting the public to the fact that, guess what? All is not well. You have foreign interference that is in bed with the Republican Party that has become rabid, that is devoid and detached of their morals and their values and their pledge to the Constitution of these United States. Here are the receipts that we have, and this is why you need to have eyes wide open. And again, Joe Biden, you had the opportunity to pick a fighter, to pick somebody that didn't just have picking a bone, but saw the existential threat that Donald Trump was imposing on the public. And had you seen him as an existential threat instead of a fucking joke, then you would have gotten an AG that put their fucking foot down and done what was needed to be done. But instead, every establishment Democrat just danced around and, twiddled their thumbs and sharpened their pencils and said, all will be well. Oh, Republicans, remember, their fever will break,
Yep.
right? Their fever will break. No, the fuck it did not. So I just want to play. I want to play this clip of James Comey, right? So he's indicted yesterday evening. He takes to social media to post his response. And again, I say there is nobody that I like. If I had to order things, like order people that I loathe, James Comey is top 5 on that list of people who are responsible for our democracy being in absolute shambles. He is responsible for that. That being said, he still didn't deserve to be indicted because there's just not enough evidence here.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
You know, okay. Before we move on, let's just spend a little bit of time on this. Because I think everything's connected, folks. And people think, oh, Danielle and Waj, angry black and brown. Always, what do they know? Yeah, yada, yada, be civil. Last 2 weeks, be civil, be civil, be civil. It was all civility politics. That's what it was. White, moderate civility politics. Instead of confronting the institutional rot, instead of confronting the decadence, instead of confronting the corruption, instead of confronting the white supremacy, instead of confronting the greed, Danielle, what do? Punt. Punt, punt, punt. Let's all get along. Punt, punt, punt. Let's all be civil. Let's punt on immigration, punt on white supremacy. Oh, Donald Trump, the man who literally incited a violent insurrection and tried to overthrow our free and fair elections, never saw the inside of a courtroom for that crime. 4 years, Danielle. 4 years. What were you waiting for? Civility. And I want to go back. Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, traitors to this country, slavers who seceded and then lost the war. What did this country do? No. Let's just all get along. No accountability. Let's build statues for them instead. It was the lost cause. They were misled. And I believe, Danielle, if we don't push, I really believe this, if we don't push the Democratic Party, and if they win, if we even have elections again, we're going to see a repeat. This is why I feel like accountability. Accountability has to be part and parcel of any platform, that we will hold Stephen Miller accountable. We're going to indict him, prosecute him, and hopefully, inshallah, he'll be in chains in prison for the rest of his life. We're going to do a thorough investigation. Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, what did they do? How did they abuse their powers? We're going to, if he lives, I don't think he will survive that long, Donald Trump, we will pursue him, see if there's any, look at the naked corruption, Danielle, with friggin' Bitcoin. He literally has passed the Genius Act, the first pro-crypto legislation, and tell the people how much money him and his Tweedledee Tweedledum sons have made off of meme coin.
Oh, well, a couple, like 2 months ago, the number was 5 billion. Now, Waj, it's up to 10.
Well, I did not know that. I did not know that. And we sit there and we let them get away with it because, again, let's just be honest. Civility politics, institutions, too big to fail. It's all, my friend said this yesterday. It's not just money that rules the country. We're talking about Kimmel and what finally got people to do something about Kimmel. He says not money. It's rich white money. It's rich. When rich white money gets affected in this country, that's when you see movement, for better and for worse.
But this is the reason why, though, just sticking on the money part for a minute, this is the reason why AOC, who wanted to introduce a no stock trading piece of legislation, this is why that shit won't go through.
That's right.
Right? Because Democrats and Republicans make money off of the intel that they have by being legislators that are passing laws that enrich themselves. Like, folks, you have to understand, like, the corruption is deep.
That's right.
Donald Trump is just naked about it. Right? He's just naked about it, and he doesn't feel the need to pretend in your face. He's saying, yeah, I'm a fucking thief. Tom Homan's like, yeah, I took a bag of money. What are you going to do about it? Right? Whereas Democrats are taking millions of dollars from AIPAC. They're taking millions of dollars from pharmaceutical companies. They're taking millions of dollars from the food industry to keep you sick. They're taking millions of dollars, right? And then they're doing the you scratch my back, I'll pass policy for you. That's what this has been. And until you actually get to the core and the root of the destruction of our faith in our representatives, because at the core of it is greed. At the core of it is greed and a grift, right? And when real people like the AOCs, like the Cori Bushes, like the Rashida Tlaibs, when they get into office, and people always like run for office, you realize just how deep the corruption is.
That's right. That's right. And the whole system, I think is an important point. The system is corrupt. And now you're seeing a backlash to the system, a generational backlash to the system. And folks, we try to bring the receipts. We try to be fair. Of course, both sides aren't the same, but failures, man. Like Biden, before we move on and talk about literally the corruption and in real time with Tom Homan, Biden, like, we were talking to a bunch of friends last night. What's going to be Biden's legacy? Genocide? Screwing over Kamala Harris? Helping Trump get elected again? That's going to be.
I mean, it's like, honestly, when you break it down, one was shocked by. I have not read the book. I'm going to get it this weekend. 107 days. I'm going to get it this weekend. But the pieces that I have read through the Atlantic and New York Times and other places, like, it is what they did to Kamala Harris. If you are a Black woman and watching this, you are not shocked by what would happen to Kamala Harris in that administration, because you, on some level, in some place and position in your work, have experienced the same sidelining, have experienced the same dimming of your light in order to make largely your white boss feel better and look better, right? We saw, I mean, let us be very clear that, like, if you are a Black woman in America, you knew what was happening. You were watching it happen. There was an opportunity to give Kamala Harris the spotlight, to have them work hand in hand the way that Biden and Obama did, right? And he refused, and his people refused. And so when he has the audacity to say, 107 days was enough time, bitch, get out of my face. Get out of my face.
I refuse to engage in the civility politics to protect Joe Biden. Joe Biden, folks, the more you find out, and I'm glad she wrote that. Danielle, if you remember, on Democracyish when we started, I think it was over 3 years ago, well, we kept asking, where's Kamala Harris? Like, where's Waldo? Yes. Remember that? We're like, where's Kamala Harris?
Like, do we have a vice president? This is so weird.
We kept bringing it up, and we're like, here's a young Black woman. You clearly are not going to run again because you promised you wouldn't run again. And they sabotaged her, and there were hit pieces against her, and they kept her hidden. And then other people are like, isn't this like, I think it was John, she quotes CNN's John, whatever his name is, I'm forgetting his name, John King. And she says, this is political malpractice that you have like a young Black woman and, you want one with the help of Black folks, and Donald Trump and Republicans have repealed Roe v. Wade, and you're just keeping her sidelined. And then, folks, he said, I'm going to run again, even though he promised us he wouldn't. And then Kamala Harris, look, we criticized her for her mistakes, her campaign mistakes. I'm very open about it. But then you also, let's just be fair, and talking about, this old guard that has sabotaged us and would rather destroy the world than to give us a chance, right? They would rather burn New York City down than give Zohran Mamdani a chance. They would rather burn the Democratic Party down than bring in some people with progressive ideas, right? So Joe Biden gives Kamala Harris, folks, 2.5 months to introduce herself as a president, 2.5 months, then to pick a vice president, introduce him to the world, and then run against the $300 million that Elon Musk has put in, and the anti-trans campaign, and this and that. And folks, and then according to, I don't know if you haven't read the book yet, but you'll see she openly says each and every single time he kept saying, "No daylight, kid, no day." It was all about him and his legacy, and it still is.
So interestingly enough, have you been watching the videos of Obama in London? The
panel?
Yeah, the panel. So yesterday, Obama said, and I know that he was talking specifically. Now, in hindsight, I thought he was talking specifically about Trump. But now, in hindsight, I actually also think that it was shade towards Joe Biden. He said 80% of the world's problems right now are because of old men who refuse to give up power because of their ego.
He said white, right?
No, he didn't say white. He should have, but he didn't. He said old men, right, who refuse to give up power because of their ego. Now, you could say he was specifically, because then he went on to talk about, they'll put their faces on mountains or on buildings, right? Wink, wink. He's talking about Trump. But if you really, right, I think that he was also talking about Joe Biden, because exactly what we're saying here, Joe Biden decided to run again because of his own ego, because he believed, much in the same way that Donald Trump said, "I alone can fix this." Joe Biden's attitude was, "I alone can beat him." And so the fact of the matter is, he was a failure, and history will remember Joe Biden as a fucking failure. And I don't care. I don't care about I don't care if people come for me. I really don't. Because the reality is, folks, when you take all of these things, not these siloed things, but you take all of these things and weave them together, the blanket that is suffocating America right now, Biden has his hands all the fuck over it.
And one more, without Joe Biden, Netanyahu and Israel's war criminals could not have engaged in the genocide. And all the stories that have come out reveal Joe Biden did not have any empathy, like we said on the show, towards Palestinians. And he gave Netanyahu, as we said on the show, a complete green light. And him and Clinton and all the others, still to this day, they just don't see Palestinians as humans. He could have and should have stopped Netanyahu. I know people don't like this. It's Netanyahu, it's Biden and Trump who are going to be remembered for being complicit in the worst genocide that we've seen in our lifetime in modern history, which has killed, gosh, the low number is 65,000, but now they're straight up trying to trail of tears the Palestinians. That's what they're trying to do in real time. They're like, we'll just get rid of them, and then it'll be like America with the indigenous people. We'll just look back and say, that sucked. Oh, well. He's complicit. And check this out. This happened in September. Daniel, tell him.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, this is what September of 2024, folks, September of 2024. Tom Homan is at a kava in Washington, D.C., handed a duffel bag, a black duffel bag filled with $50,000 in cash, right? $50,000 in cash. The Biden administration knew about it. The FBI, his FBI, Biden's FBI set up the sting operation. Folks, set up the sting operation.
They have video
and audio. And this shit is only coming out now, a year later. It should have happened in real goddamn time because they had him. So you have Pam Bondi, the audacity, nobody is above the law. Today's indictment reflects that. The only person that should have been indicted is Tom fucking Homan. And, you know, he'll get off scot fucking free.
Did you see him on, he was on Laura Ingraham a couple of days ago on Fox. She actually pressed him about this. And she said, well, did you take the bag? And he didn't deny it. He said, I did nothing criminal. So he doesn't even deny it, Daniel. He doesn't deny it. And then the DOJ, Trump's DOJ, squashed the investigation. So you literally.
But again, you had, Waj, there was so much time between when this sting happened, between when they had him up against the ropes in the Biden administration versus when Donald Trump took place. You had time. You're talking about September 2024, right? You're talking about 3 months before the election. You had time to show the corruption and to let but we don't want to interfere in the election. Are you fucking kidding me?
And this guy, folks, is the border czar. This man openly has said we're going to deport families. When they asked him, well, aren't you going to separate it? You know, what happens if you have kids? Oh, no, we're going to send the children with them. That's what they've done. They've deported citizen children. They've deported cancer survivors. They've deported kids who are suffering from stage 4 cancer. We still don't know the exact number, but they've actually deported or sent citizens, legal residents. They've kidnapped people. You see the cruelty happening. And we find out that this man is openly accepting bribes to steer government contracts. And it's like old school cartoon villain. Give me a Cava bag full of $50,000. Like, okay. And he took it. And then he didn't, I want to repeat this. He didn't deny. He goes, I did not do criminal. So he knows because he got a debt to rights.
It's normal to walk out of Cava with $50,000 in cash. You didn't go to the bank, my man. Right? Like this wasn't a transaction at the bank. The only time that you're putting money in a duffel bag is if you onto some criminal shit. Like, let's be real.
No accountability. And when you have no accountability, I think we gave this analogy during the first Trump term, right? We said the following. If the Hamburglar literally in his costume in broad daylight in front of a bunch of cops goes to McDonald's, steals a bunch of hamburgers, waves at the camera, gives a high five to all the cops, gets in his car, and no one stops him. What is he going to do the next day, Daniel? He's going to come right back and steal the hamburgers. That's what's happening. Just the open corruption, the lack of accountability, the lack of any spine, the lack of a fight, the lack of calling it out, right? The lack of leadership. Look, folks, today I'll give credit. Jamie Raskin, I think it was today or yesterday, Jamie Raskin was asked on CNN about the Comey indictment, and he begins with talking about Tom Homan and the Epstein files, and then the CNN anchor whose name I'm forgetting, she goes, "I asked you about James Comey, and yet you responded with Epstein and Homan. Why?" And he said, "Just to show you how corrupt they are and the cover up." This should have been the talking point since Monday, Daniel.
I mean, look. I hate to say it, folks, like. We are so wildly fucked right now where things are, but it's important for us to understand how we got here so that if we, right, are alive when this regime falls, that we ensure that the people that then come up are actually going to be fighters that hold who's ever. I don't care if they're 102 by the time that if you're alive, you going to jail.
That's right.
Right? Like if you're like, I'm not going to give you a pass. Nor like when Donald Trump passes, am I going to be like, oh, he was such a funny fellow. Right?
That's what they're going to say. He was an unorthodox man who tapped into the growing frustration of the majority with America's institution. At times, he was politically incorrect. Some accuse him of racism, but mostly people said he spoke from the heart and from the gut. I guarantee you that'll be his obituary. I guarantee you they're going to whitewash him. And the reason why we're saying this, folks, is because, just recently in the past 2 weeks with Charlie Kirk's death, you've seen so many. The white moderates have come out in the Ezra Kleins. Punt, not now. Don't politicize it. Don't talk about it. Civil. Punt on immigration.
Don't play his own words, because playing his own words in memoriam is apparently disrespectful.
That was the 4 versus 1 Pierce Morgan panel with me. That was my crime, right? And so what has happened as a result of us punting this again and again and again, Danielle, the problem keeps coming back.
And bigger. And bigger the next time.
And what's the problem? The two sins of America, racism and greed, the white supremacy and the corruption. You keep Too big to fail. Let's bail out the banks.
Yep.
Oh, let's reward the same institutions that have destroyed us. Oh, let's just, do minor cosmetic reforms, but not really. Oh, let's forgive these racists. Let's not call it racist. That's divisive. Let's call it economic anxiety. Oh, let's do hagiographies of the Confederate traitors. Oh, let's do a hagiography of the people who drained swimming pools instead of having black and brown kids and white kids swim together. Oh, let's do hagiography of Donald Trump. Let's do hagiography of Charlie Kirk. Punt it. Danielle, literally yesterday someone said, Waj, let's just come together right now. Let's not, why are you going against some of these white moderates right now? Come on. The big picture is just taking Trump out. I heard that in 2016 and 2020, Danielle. The year is 2025. And I said, no. I said, we tackle it all at the same time. And we tackle it all at the same time. We're trying to save you from yourself, because you punt this monster comes back more ferocious, more powerful, more strategic.
Yep. And with a bigger team, right? Because that is again, and we'll move on after this, but this is how we got Project 2025.
That's right.
Right? They had no plan the first time around. It was just a clown car, right? It was a clown car cabinet, revolving door at this White House. They didn't know what the hell that they were doing. And in the time that Project 2025 was built, Merrick Garland and Joe Biden had the opportunity to dismantle the whole criminal operation under Donald Trump, but they refused. And so then what did we get? A 900-page manifesto that at this point that I'm speaking, 8 months in, is 50% completed.
That's right. Well, speaking about the hypocrisy, show them. Oh, exquisite. Exquisite. This is the guy, Ryan Walters. Oklahoma is dead last, folks, when it comes to education. Dead last. It's the ass crack of American education. And Superintendent Ryan Walters is the same guy, if you all remember, if it looks familiar, last year he says, I'm going to put a Bible in every public school. That guy. Then he said, I'm going to put a Turning Point USA chapter in every school. And guess what happened? There was a scandal. Danielle, oh, it's just so beautiful. Can you please tell us, this man who's super Christian, super pro-family, super conservative, anti-woke, anti-LGBTQ, separation of church and state. Can you tell us the scandal?
Porn is the scandal. He's watching porn. He was caught watching porn because
in a meeting.
That's what these people do. Can't help himself. Do you understand how sick you have to be that you can't not watch porn in a meeting? That you get caught. You're the one that is talking about Bibles in classrooms. Yours must be sticky. Okay, let me back off. But I just have to say, it's sick, right? And everything that they do, folks, is projection, right? They got to put a Bible in because they don't read nothing, right? They don't follow nobody's sermon. They are absolutely sick and twisted individuals because, again, you can't not watch porn in a meeting.
And apparently, I didn't get too much in the details, but
can't wait until you get home, Lord Jesus.
But people found out about it because they saw these explicit images, and then he makes I am stepping down. I'm resigning. And then check this out. These cowards, they're all cowards. They're hypocrites and cowards. He used a news studio to make his resignation announcement and then ran away from the reporters. You should see the video. He just runs right away. And someone in the chat section said, allegedly he's gay too. Look, this is the thing. You're gay, be gay. You're straight, be straight. You're a swinger, whatever. It's the hypocrisy, number one.
Yep.
The hypocrisy. Yep. And number two, you use the Bible as a sword against women and the marginalized and the LGBTQ community. And folks, last week in Arizona, during the Charlie Kirk Memorial, Grindr, which is an app predominantly used by...
Heat map, my friend.
Tell him, Danielle. Tell him.
Folks, Grindr nearly fucking broke down at Charlie Kirk's memorial. The heat index on Arizona might as well have been a second sun. Do you understand what I'm saying? Grindr is an app that
It was
is
like the
used
sun. It was flaming.
primarily by gay men to have sex, to find sex. And the app damn near combusted in Arizona for Charlie Kirk's funeral.
Can you tell them the last time in 2024 when it did the same?
Oh, what was it? The RNC convention.
And can I say this, Danielle? Because I didn't know this tea. I allegedly. So Brendan Carr, FCC chair, last week, if you all recall, went on Benny Johnson's podcast to straight up extort and threaten ABC. He went on Benny Johnson's podcast. Just I'll connect the dots real quick. Right after that, Nexstar realized, they're threatening us. Then removed Jimmy Kimmel, right? And then ABC said, they freaked out. Benny Johnson was at BuzzFeed. He failed. He was fired for plagiarism. He floundered around, realized I need a new grift. So he becomes a right-wing talking head. He is one of the three people, along with David Rubin, who also was a lefty once and then failed. And then also Tim Pool, who accidentally didn't know, inadvertently took money from Tenet. Tenet was a media company that was set up as a front for Russian money and anti-American pro-Russian talking points. So these people parroted literally anti-American pro-Russian talking points and got paid handsomely. They went into MAGA, right? So now Benny Johnson has repurposed himself, if you guys have been paying attention, trying to be the heir apparent to Charlie Kirk, has refashioned himself, Danielle, as like a super Christian and like with his white wife and his 4 kids. And, he's all and again, who did Brendan Carr use? Benny Johnson, right? I didn't know this. The tea is allegedly from MAGA and now then from liberals that Benny Johnson's wife during these TPUSA conferences is in the arms of other men crying in the lobby because Benny Johnson's upstairs banging dudes, conservative dudes. And then furthermore, Saeed Jones, a black queer editor of BuzzFeed, once he found out about Benny Johnson, he's like, that Benny Johnson. Oh, yeah, we were at BuzzFeed. And after a party, we made out in the closet because we were drunk. And then he said some cringy stuff and I stopped making out with him. And then I found out from other people I wasn't the only dude he made out with that night. Allegedly.
Folks, let me say this too, because people are like, oh, what difference does it make who people sleep with, blah, blah. It doesn't. It actually doesn't. I don't care. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care. What I care about is you being such a self-hating piece of shit, right? Such a self-hating piece of shit that you pass legislation that harms the rest of us that are able to live our lives out and proud, right? And you are so disturbed and filled with such self-hatred, right? That you got to project that bullshit out on the rest of us. I don't give a fuck. If you want to be a gay Republican and you want to live a contradiction, by all means, do that, right? But don't take your like self-hating homophobic bullshit out on the rest of us, which is what these men do on a regular basis. So we name it because the hypocrisy, right? Like it's just so fucking apparent. But I'm like, here's the thing. Y'all need therapy, right? Like go to therapy, fucking meditate, get your shit together, and then maybe you wouldn't be a self-hating piece of shit that needs to find sex on fucking Grindr, right? In closets because you're too chicken shit to actually live your life out and proud like the rest of us.
And look at Ryan. Look, it's all projection, folks. Look at all the stories. We're tough on crime. I'm going to accept a kava bag. We're about cleaning up the streets. We're going to send Ghislaine Maxwell to a minimum security camp and not release the Epstein files, right? We're about competence and competence, and we want the best of the best. And then you get Kegseth. Danielle, and the racism. Look at the racism.
It's like, I don't even, here's the most important Keg's breath story this week. It isn't even this. Like, yes, I know that this is important. I know that the erasure is important. I know that the lifting up of, white supremacist murderers is really important because that's the history that they want to bow down to. And that's what he is doing here in this clip. But the fact of the matter is that this fucking idiot, this dunce of a fucking human being, right? This alleged alcoholic who knows nothing about anything and needed to show off on a signal thread to his wife and his best friend, look how cool I am. This man is calling 800 of our admirals and fucking generals from important posts around the world. And we don't know why they're going to Quantico, but this motherfucker decided to tell the world that guess who's going to be weak for, I don't know, the United States? We're just wide open. Hey, you want to take shots at us? By all means, because our admirals and our generals are going to possibly be playing some type of real world Squid Games in fucking Quantico because of this dipshit.
I'm so glad you brought up that point, because everyone's been wondering, like, why are they coming? And I said, hold on, before we get to that, you're removing thousands of like generals from around the world who I assume, Danielle, are doing very important things to keep us safe, and announcing to the world vacancy. I mean, my God. And then secondly, what Lev Parnas told me yesterday, Lev was a former Trump fixer, is that this is a loyalty test and a loyalty purge, because in the military, people have slowly but surely lost all faith in our Secretary of Defense because he's a complete clown and F-up. And so he's coming in and trying to project strength, but also he's doing a loyalty test, and also he's seeing who's on board with the next steps. And the next steps, I think, Danielle, are we're going to go to war with Venezuela. We're going to let Russia do whatever it wants. And we're going to crack down on skulls. Who's with me? And also, if I can, real quick, there was no Battle of Wounded Knee. It was a massacre of Native Americans. And Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine called it out, and other people did as well. And explain, just if racism isn't the point, Danielle, can you with everything that's happening, can you please explain to me why yesterday Pete Kexeth would say the following: under my direction, the soldiers who fought at the Battle of Wounded Knee will keep their medals. The decision is final. Why?
Because you're a white supremacist cuck. I don't know.
That's it. That's it, folks. It was a massacre. It was a massacre of women and children. Why would you reward the people who massacred indigenous children? Why would you scrub slavery from the Smithsonian?
The same reason that you have given a license to abuse, right? And given ICE agents the deal that our young academics that are in debt needed in order to get out of debt. You now turn that around and you're giving ICE agents $60,000 of debt relief from their student loan debts, $100,000 salaries in order to brutalize and beat up on women that are crying for with their children in broad fucking daylight. That's why, because you're a piece of shit, coward. I could just, the names could come and spew out of my mouth.
Flow like water.
Flow like water.
Folks, if you want to see a horrific video, you don't have to. Actually, no, you should see it.
I couldn't pull it, Wash, because it was too disgusting.
Yeah, it's yesterday in New York, the same place where Brad Lander, New York City controller, was arrested, right at the ICE facility. This video, see it if you can. There was a woman, not buffed, not tall, not armed, crying for her husband. There was an ICE agent. She was just pleading to him, didn't get in his face, didn't yell, shout, just crying. All the cameras are there. You saw it. With complete impunity and with confidence, grabbed her, threw her on the floor.
Yep.
Assault and battery. And she weeps and yells and cries. And I was just, the fact that he did it without any fear with cameras on him. What are you going to do to me? What are you going to do to me? And folks, if I may, I'm cross promotion, but I'm not trying to do this shamelessly. But yesterday, last night, Danielle, I had an amazing conversation I posted on the Left Hook with Jen Budd, who is a whistleblower who worked in Border Patrol for 6 years. And she takes the DeLorean 30 years and exposes ICE. Just see that if you can. I'm telling you, it is an eye opener. She said they're functioning exactly as they were always intended to function. She says it's racist, a culture of racism, culture of corruption, rape, sexual assault. Yep. They bring the worst of the worst. This is who they are.
Yeah. Folks, I'm going to watch, if you allow me, I'm going to skip through
go ahead.
I don't actually think But what I do want to get to is the UN. I want to get to what happened at the UN today, but more importantly, a lot of courage was shown this week by world leaders at the UN, speaking up against authoritarianism, speaking up against Donald Trump. And of course, you're not going to see their speeches that they gave, but I truly Google UN speeches against authoritarianism and Trump, and you will see some incredible speeches. But today, Netanyahu, who, by the way, took a circuitous route to get to the United Nations, to get to the United States for the United Nations Assembly. Why? Because he can't travel through Europe, because basically all of Europe is like, you are in our airspace, you touch foot here, we're going to throw your ass in jail.
Yep.
And so Netanyahu arrives and he's giving his speech today, and dozens upon dozens of leaders walked out.
I mean, not just a few.
Out.
It was, check out the video, folks, a mass stream. We would have had the video, but right before we went live, this happened. I mean, it's beautiful. And he looks a little shook and pissed. It wasn't just a few. It was it was like the assembly hall was mostly empty. It was exquisite. And this is what you do. These old men who are destroying the world, Putin, Trump, Erdogan, Netanyahu, Orban, the rich billionaires, the world is turning against them. The world is turning against them.
And I just want to say, representatives, right, from dozens of countries walked out of the hall just before Netanyahu began his speech. So they waited. They waited for him to get up there. They waited for him to stand there. And then they walked out. And it was exquisite, because this is what resistance looks like. We say this all the time. Resistance takes all forms, right? And showing your disdain to the world for this man. And this is what Netanyahu has done to Israel, right? This is what he has done. He has turned this country into a pariah.
Yep.
Right? And this is what his legacy will be. But before we get out of here today, also right before we came on, because I think that it's really important, particularly in this time, Waj, for us to lift up resistors, for us to lift up people who gave their lives to liberation and liberation causes. And today, folks, Assata Shakur,
78.
Died at the age of 78 in Cuba after decades of exile. And if you just give me a moment, the Cuban government has announced that Assata Shakur died in Havana on Thursday at the age of 78. Shakur was a legendary figure within the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army. Shakur was convicted in May 2nd, 1973, killing of a New Jersey state trooper during a shootout that left one of her fellow activists dead. She was shot twice by police during the incident. In 1979, she managed to escape from jail and later fled to Cuba, where she received political asylum. She long proclaimed her innocence. In her autobiography, Shakur wrote, "It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains." In 1998, Democracy Now! Had aired an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba, and she wrote a message. And I will say this, for folks that, again, don't know her, or what you know of her is the lies that were spread about her by use of Counterintelligence. Which I did a cover of when I have videos that are up that I did on the Black Panther Party and Counterintelligence, the initiative through the FBI to break apart any Black liberation, any Black resistance movements, to infiltrate them and break them apart. mind you, didn't do this for the KKK, didn't do this for White Citizens Council, didn't do this as we have learned that white domestic terror is the biggest threat to our national security. No, what COINTELPRO and our FBI and CIA did was spy, cheat, bribe, lie about, smear Black activists, Black liberators. And Assata Shakur was one of them. And, you know, I want people, the whole point of the work that I do is for people to take a moment, to have that moment of, wait a minute, have I been told the truth? Have I been lied to? Has this country led me astray to believe that there was some false equivalency between the KKK and the Black Panthers? Who am I getting this information from, and what have I been told? And to question everything, right? And so Assata Shakur, 78, that is very young. And I just, you know, I'll close out with this and then pass it to you, Waj. But one of her famous quotes was, nobody in the world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who were oppressing them. And if you have not, I encourage folks, if this is the first time that you're hearing about Assata Shakur, I encourage you to research her, listen to her in her own words, interviews that have been done. And if you don't know what COINTELPRO is, again, research it, understand what they did, understand what has always been done to Black liberators and fighters for justice and resistance in this country, and how they have been smeared. Because I think that the more information that we have, the more critical thought that can spread, the better off we will be. Waj, I turn it to you.
Yeah, and also there's a movie that came out a couple years ago, Judas and the Black Messiah. For those who don't have the time and want to see a fantastic movie of exactly what Danielle was saying, of the deliberate infiltration and dismantling of these resistance movements. And folks, if you think this is not happening, I want to remind you all, just this week, the Department of Justice scrubbed its own website of a 2024 study that showed that the #1 domestic terror threat in America for the past 10 years in terms of incidents and violence is right-wing terrorism, which pretty much nearly intersects with white nationalism. They scrubbed it. They completely scrubbed the history of Vance Bolter, the man who shot and killed Melissa Hortman, a white Trumper radicalized by online conspiracies, Tyler Robinson, white man who allegedly killed Charlie Kirk, gone. The assassin, the would-be attempted assassin of Donald Trump, white man, Trumper, right? And instead, they are doing DEI. They're scrubbing the truth, scrubbing the history, scrubbing the books, and elevating those who massacred individuals, Black people, whether we're Confederate traitors or the soldiers at Wounded Knee who committed the massacre. It's happening in front of you in real time as we speak. What more do you need to see? And so I will end it on, and I've done this twice before. I'm going to try to get Danielle to do this. I said, Danielle, watch Andor. She goes, go away. I hate you. I said, Danielle, watch Sinners. Fine. I heard it was good. I saw a movie last night. I think it might be one of the best or second best movie of the year. One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson. It is the most prescient, on the nose, topical as F movie. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson was working on it for 20 years. I'm telling you, there are scenes in that movie. You're like, what the, is this a documentary? It imagines an America, pretty much modern America, in which brown people are herded up. And there's a super robust ICE army, without it being called ICE, filled with white nationalists who have a fetish for Black women, but want to also crush Black women. And the lead, one of the stars of the movie is a Black female radical. She hooks up with Leonardo DiCaprio. They have a kid. She then leaves, goes to exile, and Leonardo DiCaprio raises this child as a former radical on the run, and the past catches up with them. I'm telling you, first of all, as a movie, Danielle, amazing. It is fantastic. I'm telling you, you just wait. You're like, what are you talking about? Watch. Wait till Monday. Okay. People are going to be talking about it. And then secondly, the reason why I want you all to see is it shows a type of resistance, but it has hope in it. There's humor and hope. And what the movie shows, without giving it away, is an entire network. Someone just said, I watched it last night. I wouldn't be shocked if Trump hadn't been trying to spend it. I swear. It shows a network helping each other out. A network of resistance. I'm telling you, Danielle, you got to see it. The movie is amazing.
All right.
She's like, fine. It's so good, people. Check it out and let me know. It is so good, so topical. And I guarantee you by Monday, MAGA will be all. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump tweets against it.
Which means that then it'll get box
one battle after another. It just came out today. I saw it last night.
All right, dear friends, I want to give a quick shout out to our amazing super stickers and super thanks that have been coming in from TMFJ, from Barb, Jimmy, Design Chick, Traveling Chica, Lisa, Dre Kinney, Claire again, PJ coming in big as always. Appreciate you. Robert, Spring, thank you so very much. Incredible. Past the Joints podcast, Susan, as always, E. Schwartz, as always, Joyce, thank you so much. Susan again, and Stan. Y'all, this is independent media. We do not bend the knee. We do not take money from corporate America. Our voices are our own for a reason. So every single dollar that you are able to contribute allows us to create the kind of content that you all deserve. If you are watching this and you are on Substack, Waj's Substack is The Left Hook. He doesn't put anything behind a paywall, but if you have a few bucks, do consider becoming a paid subscriber. If you're watching this on my Substack, The Damn Digest, again, nothing will ever go behind a paywall, but if you are interested and have the ability to become a paid subscriber, do consider doing so. Take that Hulu Disney canceled money and put it towards voices that actually matter. Folks, we appreciate you so very much. We will be back on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Right here. Waj, what else do you have coming up for the weekend? Because God knows you don't take a break.
I should be resting, but I have John Fugelsang on right now in 1 minute, and John Fugelsang has written
said hi.
Yeah, he has written a fantastic bestseller, Separation of Church and Hate, and he was on Daily Show 2 days ago. It's a really good book about how the right wing has used and abused Christianity and Jesus as their mascot. And John has a fantastic story because he wasn't supposed to be born. His father was once a father, and his mom was like a sister, and they fell in love, and they had him, and they taught him a type of progressive Christianity. So this book is him saying, hey, progressives, use Jesus, use Christianity, and call these people out. So he's on in a minute.
All right. Tell him I said hello. Congratulations on his book. Folks, go and check that out now. And remember to like, comment, and share. Feed the algorithm so that we continue to grow. I've hit 32,000, and I want to thank every single one of you for your subscriptions, for your shares, for your voices. Appreciate you. We will see you back here Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Go over to The Left Hook right now. Be well.